We turn now to a, frankly, jaw-dropping story. The Washington Post has some new reporting on the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History removing a label referring to President Trump's two impeachments from an exhibit display there in the museum. In response to that reporting, a spokesperson from the museum told NBC News because the other topics in this section had not been updated since 2008, the decision was made to restore the impeachment case back to its 2008 appearance. Adding, quote, a large permanent gallery like the American presidency that opened in 2000 requires a significant amount of time and funding to update and renew. A future and updated exhibit will include all impeachments. A temporary label that included content about Trump's two impeachments had been on display since September 2021. Now, the exhibit notes that only 3 presidents have seriously faced removal. A person familiar with the exhibit plans told the Washington Post the change came as part of a content review that the Smithsonian agreed to undertake following pressure from the White House to remove an art museum director. Eugene, this is an attempt to literally rewrite history. We know that as the Washington Post, terrific reporting, White House pressuring the Smithsonian to remove its director. As part of this, the Smithsonian just decided to restore that exhibit, just picking a year, 2008, sort of a random choice, but one that predates President Trump's time in office and his two impeachments that will be in the history books no matter what he tries to say.
Yeah, I think the thing that's so kind of shocking here is that their explanation, the museum's explanation for this, is kind of winding and hard to figure out, right? Which is, for all of us that are skeptics by trade, know what that means typically, is that something is happening behind the scenes, and it's that this president not only wants to change and has changed the way politics works, he's obsessed with the culture. And I think this is something that we don't talk enough about, which is Donald Trump and he understood this as we went into November. And he still continues to understand that if you change the culture, tweak the culture, and have control over the culture, that is much more important sometimes than the actual politics and policy of the country. And anything that goes against him, so it shouldn't be a surprise, is something that he has an issue with. It is a fact that he was impeached twice, right? We all saw it, we all watched it, but as folks come here, whether they're from other countries, whether they're young kids learning about these kinds of things, now they won't see that. 2008 is a very random date to choose about when the last president was impeached. It wasn't then. We know that. And the fact that 2021, it's been there since 2021 that President Trump was impeached, and now they're moving it as one of those things that as we're watching the changing of, and the Donald Trump putting his thumb on the scale in places where presidents typically completely stay out of, right? It should concern Americans because these are the kinds of things that you tweak and slow walk that become much bigger issues at the end of the day. And we've seen Donald Trump and folks that work for him for years lie about whether it was the 2016 election or the 2020 election or the 2024 election, that's continued and that's not going to stop. But now we're starting to see kind of our institutions doing the same thing.
Yeah, and Jen Palmieri, quick final word to you on this. To Eugene's point, this is not the kind of thing that happens in a healthy democracy. This is you could argue it's small. It's not. It feels like it's the kind of thing that leads us on a very slippery slope.
It does, and the other thing that it reveals is how much they've thought this through, right? I'm not sure it would have occurred to me, I had been White House communications director, to worry about what was on display in the American President's wing of the Smithsonian, but they have thought that all through, and they have obviously, and pursued the strategy to rewrite history in every manner, every angle of the federal government.
Yeah, absolutely right. An important story. We'll keep an eye on it, to be sure.